Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Hello and welcome to the post show. I am Raz, and as you can see, I am by myself tonight because unfortunately Stephen is not is dealing with some personal issues, so he won't be with me tonight. We are not going to beat around the bush. It is going to be a stacked show tonight. Tonight's Dynamite show was absolutely stacked, insane from top to bottom, in my opinion. We've already got C. Henry in the chat. Thank you for showing up, C. Henry. It's always good to see you. It has been a crazy week so far in regards to pro wrestling and everything that's happened. Like we've had Sting retiring, we've had the amazing debut of Will Ospreay at Revolution as well. We've also had plenty to talk about. But let's get straight into it, shall we? So we open tonight's show with a brand new stage, a brand new setup. My personal opinion, I love the tunnels. I've loved them for a long time. Think it was fantastic to see them being brought back. Wish that they never went away originally. Love the update to them and love the new logo as well. I think it looks really cool. We started with Swerve Strickland being interviewed in the ring, and he's talking about how he lost the match at Revolution thanks to Hangman. Samoa Joe comes out or he says that he's going to still take on Samoa Joe, or he's still coming for Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe comes out, basically says, jump to the back of the line. Then we get the United Kingdom coming out with Adam Cole in his wheelchair once again. We get Cole saying that Swerve will never get anywhere near the World Championship, and that Wardlow is going to take the belt from Joe and give it back to Adam Cole. Swerve gets back on the mic, says basically, come and, if you guys are ready, come and get me tonight. Come and get me tonight, because they laid out a challenge. Cole originally laid out a challenge saying that he was going to put Mike Bennett and Matt Taven against Swerve and Joe in 2 weeks' time, but Tony Khan made a change, and it was announced by Tony Schiavone that match was going to happen right there tonight on Dynamite, and it was going to be the first match of the night. So we jump straight into the match, essentially. We don't even go to a commercial. We go straight into the match. And fantastic way to start the show, in my opinion. I personally think that it was one of the better ways to do it. It keeps it hot from what they've been doing. From the pay-per-view. They've definitely kept up the pace, and they kept it with a strong opening for the show. I thought that was really, really good. And we got some good feedback on that as well. Like, we got some good sorry guys. Where were we? We go straight into the match. It's a tag team match, obviously. Swerve takes most of the match on by himself because of the fact that he is wanting to prove to Joe that he is worthy. Swerve ends up getting the win, and Wardlow comes out to the ramp at the end of the match, and then Joe chokes Swerve out. We then get an announcement of Samoa Joe versus Wardlow, announced for Big Business, which obviously Wardlow just won the chance to face Wardlow won the chance to face Samoa Joe for the title at any time. He won that at Revolution in that All-Star Challenge, and we got the announcement that the match is actually going to take place at Big Business. Personally, I think it's a little bit rushed to get that match, considering we are building to a return for MJF here. My personal thoughts were that Joe was going to lose the belt to either Swerve or Wardlow. I thought it was going to be Swerve at Double or Nothing, but now that they've got Dynasty as a new pay-per-view, that throws anything up in the air. C. Henry asks, do you think Wardlow will beat Joe? I don't think so. I think what will happen there, is that we'll get a tease to MJF coming back here. We'll get a tease to it. I'm not 100% sure. But I think we'll get a tease to MJF coming back. I think the United Kingdom will definitely help. They will definitely help Wardlow, but I don't think that Wardlow will win the belt. You agree that Wardlow won't beat Joe? Yeah. I think they want to keep the belt on Joe and then have Joe versus Swerve at either Dynasty or Double or Nothing, depending on where they're going to play the story and who's coming back or who's debuting over the next couple of weeks, because it's looking like we're getting a big revival of AEW's original era. Original era is what I'll call it. Can't call it golden era because it was their debut. I think that having Wardlow in that match is definitely a...
Hey,
there he is. There he is.
What's up?
Thank you for joining, ABJ.
Oh, dude, I just housed a double quarter pounder with cheese in record time.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
Stephen's not here tonight, a few personal issues, so
he died. Everyone, Stephen's dead.
Oh, he did not. He will be hopeful. He will be back next week.
If you're never around and ABJ's here, you've died. You're written off for that night. Yeah.
So ABJ, what did you think of tonight's show?
That was really good. I thought they pushed good storyline. I thought they started setting a clear path to what they want to do with the company. For a company that gets for a company that gets shit on for not having stories.
Yeah,
I thought everything had a purpose tonight, and everything led to a story for the most part. Like every match had a reason, and if it didn't have a reason for the match, it had a reason to continue a story later on.
I know you were listening in backstage. What do you think about my comments in regards to the Joe Wardlow situation?
And new.
You reckon Wardlow's going to win?
I think they do big things at Big Business. Now with Okada showing up, and now with Dynamite. Yeah. Sorry, spoiler for ahead. Now with those big names showing up tonight and setting up big matches for the future and going into Dynasty, this dude set a table. Like, here's the thing, as an owner, and maybe I'm just giving Tony Khan too much credit. But really it was
was it the bus that was supposed to take out Palm?
No, that's still lurking. That's like a UAV. That's just waiting for Parm to leave his house one day and just snack him down. But kind of going back, but if they're saying that Big Business will change this course of wrestling, it'll be a night of wrestling that are going to be talked about forever. It's going to be one of those big things that that's going to carry on. And I think Big Business is going to do that. And I don't think Joe is a transition here. I mean, to an extent, he's transitioned. But here's the deal, man. We've had in the two major wrestling companies long-term championships and championship runs. I said once these championships change, I don't think they're going to be hot potatoed, but I think they're going to flip a lot. I think you're going to see a lot of champions because it's kind of the opposite. You can't just give another guy a championship and go on a record breaking run again.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that you're going to get a 2-3 year title reign out of someone anymore. You might get a year max, but I think you'll get maximum of a year, but you won't get anything over that because it defeats the purpose of creating those record breaking title reigns.
Joe is on a level, and maybe I'm disrespectful by saying this, but maybe
Joe's on a level that he doesn't need a title.
I was going to go take a step further. Joe is a Sting. Joe is an iconic professional wrestler. Joe has laid a lot of groundwork down, went to WWE, was treated with disrespect, came back to AEW, and is treated in the light that he should be treated. But unlike maybe Sting booking, Joe, I think, has laid a path that he choked out your world champion. He's beaten people in 2-on-1 competitions. He has laid the path that he is a tough guy. And you're going to need someone bigger, badder, and maybe have more friends to take out a Joe. But anyone who beats a Joe is elevated to a higher level. And with a contract like coming up that Wardlow's under, he's under contract right now. Like his contract's getting to that end. And if you want to show you have faith in a young guy, you give him a big win over a Joe. You give him a world championship. You lay him out as a number one guy in a match. And I think that's what they do with Wardlow at Big Business. I think he goes out with some help. I think he beats Joe. And I think you start that seed now of Adam Cole being like, I'm real close to coming back. And when I do, that's my belt. So you even give Wardlow a couple opportunities to showcase himself as a champion. Maybe he goes in a dynasty and defends it against somebody. But the whole time it's Adam Cole going, I'm this close. I'm feeling better. I'm ready for my title. And then when that happens, now you have your returning MJF. I'm not saying it all happens at Big Business. I think it could. I think you might see some teases of MJF. But I think that's the story that's more important right now for AEW, that long-term telling with MJF, Adam Cole, and Wardlow.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think that I just don't think it's the right time to put the belt on Wardlow. I thought
Wardlow is a transition. You know what I mean?
Wardlow's definitely the transitional champion between himself, Cole, and MJF. Mm-hmm. Because it goes full circle.
Yep.
I just want to bring up this. Alex said he was right in a way about the three-way. Yes, you were. And I said it to Stephen when I spoke to him the other day, that the way it was going to happen was that it was going to be Hangman goes for the pin and then gets choked out.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
As soon as Wardlow won the beginning of the night, I said, during the watch along, I said, Wardlow just won. That means Samoa Joe retains. Because that's the only that makes sense for the story.
Yep. C. Henry asks, with all these bigger names coming and a big roster, does AEW do a roster split with maybe a new TV contract?
I don't know if it's so much a roster split, but I think they do what they're doing now where they promote more of what's coming ahead of time on Collision. And I think they start building that value. Personally, I think on Collision, you have to book one night Collision like you would book a Dynamite. And here's the difference. They're putting matches on there that are good, but there hasn't been a big moment on Collision yet that makes people go, that's must-see TV. There's something happening over there that I need to see. And it makes everyone go flock over to watch Collision or Rampage. I think they have to start booking Rampage and Collision like a SmackDown versus a Raw, where back in the day, now we watch SmackDown and Raw religiously because they're treated as the two major brands, even though maybe there's not, from my standpoint as a wrestling fan, anything that excites me there, but it's enough to keep people going. It's must-see TV if you are a fan of this product. AEW is not treating Collision and Rampage like that. So I think with all these big names coming, you can say, Okada's wrestling on Collision this weekend, and that helps your numbers. Mercedes Moné is wrestling on Rampage. Like, you need to start booking those shows as if they're as important.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
So I don't think you need to split people. I just think you need to put bigger names on those shows more often and put together some matches people want to see.
I think that one thing that's really stood out to me today was the fact of AEW stacked their show tonight, and they also stacked the upcoming shows. They have promoted the shit out of like what was going on and the things that are coming up. Like they didn't just go, okay, we're gonna book it on the fly. They went, here's what you're getting, and it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not, here's what you're getting, it's coming up in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting too. Did you hear? So I know we had a little bit of a talk on my side, and I think you were involved in the conversation where we said about the Bloodline story and how it's been completely booked like in long-term story. And I kind of said, if you don't, the WWE went into the Montreal screw job that night, the night of a pay-per-view, and not being prepared to what's going to happen that night. So I don't give them that full credit that they had like, hey, this is our game plan and here's how we get to it, and everything in between is completely structured. I think they do a lot on the fly. And John Cena just kind of came out and said his Firefly Funhouse match with Bray Wyatt, he didn't know he was doing it until he showed up that day. And they pre-recorded it, and they're like, oh, that's gonna be a Mania match. He's like, oh, cool. Like that's how on the fly some shit is at that company. And honestly, I think AEW's long-term storytelling is done a little better. If I'm going to be honest, the only problem with AEW's side of things is every time they have a big name story, an injury happens and it throws off their story. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Like the cause of the whole title change.
Yeah.
Like with Adam Cole and MJF both being,
and maybe that's where they backseat a little bit and book differently to protect the guys they're going to be in storylines with, instead of sending them out there every week and putting together like 5-star matches or trying to go for a 5-star match.
Yeah. Alex says Adam is going to do a Christian Cage and that he's going to be grabbing that world title and acting like he's the world champion.
Yeah. I think that's coming.
Sort of the way he did with the TNT title.
Absolutely.
At the time. Yeah. Where were we? So we got the announcement for Wardlow versus Joe at Big Business. You predicted that Wardlow's going to walk out with the belt.
Yep.
I don't think that's the case, but you never know. Do you, gentlemen, really think the Montreal screw job was legit?
Yeah.
Yes, but there was elements of fiction to it.
I don't. I think what went down is exactly how it went down. I know Scott Hall always says you would never put on TV the WCW thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think Vince was in the back to make the call, because obviously he was up front. And I think backstage, I think Pritchard's more of a person that goes, record it, because if we want, we can cut it out later. And when we put it out on DVD, it's out on DVD, and we can control how it goes out that way. But for tonight, let that roll.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people the reason people claim that it was a fiction or it was a work was because of the Wrestling with Shadows cameras being backstage.
Yeah, possibly, but it's
and that tends to lean into the whole work side of things.
Yeah, I don't think it was worked. I honestly don't.
Lily said, "Hey, I know what that is."
We actually just watched that. I mean, I had her watch the A&E Rivals thing.
Oh, nice. So we next went to Hook being interviewed backstage. Jericho interrupts. I'm predicting it now. Jericho wants the FTW title.
Who knows?
I'm betting that he ends up challenging for the FTW title eventually.
Yeah.
See, Henry asks, so if it never happened, would Wrestling with Shadows ever happen if that drama never happened? Yes, because Vince signed Brett to a 20-year contract and then went, I can't afford to pay you a 20-year contract.
Yeah, it was very well known by essentially everybody that Brett was leaving that night and going to WCW. That wasn't like a big mystery.
Yeah. Kai is saying, "Gotta have every title in the company, man."
He probably will be the first Grand Slam AEW champion. I promise you that.
You're not wrong.
Who's close right now?
No one. No one's close.
Hold on. Yes,
Kenny's probably
Kenny and Hangman are probably the closest, right?
Yeah, Kenny and Hangman are the closest. They just both need to win the international and TNTs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both Kenny and Hangman just need to win the internationals and TNTs.
Actually, Joe is just as close, and so is
actually. Yeah, Joe needs just the international.
Was he ever tag team? He wasn't AEW tag team. He was
Ring of Honor tag team.
He did some Ring of Honor stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Joe needs tag. So Joe, Hangman, and Kenny are the three closest.
Yeah.
Because no, he never won the TNT. Joe never won. Joe
was TNT champ. He was TNT champion twice.
Nah.
Yeah, Samoa Joe was TNT champion 2 times. He was a world champion and he was a TNT champion.
Nah.
Yes. He beat Wardlow for it.
No, that was Miro, wasn't it?
No, that was Joe. Joe beat Darby, and then Darby lost to Joe. And then Wardlow lost to Powerhouse Hobbs. Actually, no, it went Wardlow, then Wardlow lost to Joe. Joe lost to Darby. Right. Darby lost to Joe, then Joe lost it back to Wardlow. So Joe and Wardlow are 1-1 right now. And both times they faced, it was with a title on the line.
And he held the ROH television championship at the same time.
Actually, Darby's close. I mean, pretty much when we say close, we say there's a handful of people who have 2 sets of titles in AEW, whether it be the World and TNT or World and Tag, or TNT and Tag with Darby, because Darby's now had the TNT and the Tag Team Championships. And if Orange Cassidy does the tag team run with Trent with Best Friends and he wins the tag team, now he'll have 2 sets of titles.
Yeah, Joe needs tag team and international.
Scorpio Sky, TNT and tag team. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few actually. So but I wouldn't.
There's a huge dead race right now. There's a big race between just like no one has 3. No one's been Triple Crown yet, except Kingston.
Oh, except Kingston, yeah. Oh, then you got to throw that into there as well.
I don't consider them. I mean, they are considered. They are on the Triple Crown title is on the AEW roster. Yeah,
it's on the AEW brand. So, but next up, we had an interview with Hook backstage. As I said, I reckon Jericho wants that FTW title. I think that we're going to get them teaming up for a bit. Then Jericho's going to turn and get try and get the title from Hook. We then went to the EVPs backstage, which you said.
You are correct. Sorry.
We then went.
Jordan beat Wardlow. He pinned Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah. We went to the EVPs backstage, who were doing a announcement, but they decided not to do an announcement, and
clearly throwing a little bit of a shade at Tony Khan.
With their boss, yep.
Hey everyone, we have a really exciting announcement for AEW Dynamite tonight.
Look, I ain't going to complain because it's part of the character and it actually really works. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. I'll say right now, the Elite thing, I was kind of like, meh. And then tonight it had a little layer.
Yeah. And you broke that spoiler already, but we'll get into that shortly. And then there's the Trios titles. So if you count those, then Omega's ahead.
Oh, yeah. Kenny does have 3. He had 3 sets.
Yeah, because he had the
Kenny is in the lead.
Yeah, there we go, Kenny. We had Hook versus Brian Cage for the FTW Championship in basically no rules. Cage gets dropped into the thumbtacks in the ring.
Did you see what I put in our chat?
No.
The gear? The gear was
No,
King from Tekken.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that
I
was
didn't
the
see
gear
that.
inspired tonight. It was King from Tekken. I mean, even down to the tribal on the leg.
Yeah,
So King does wear purple gear, but in the most recent, he wears the gold underwear, blue pants, blue bolts, cuffs, and he has the cape.
yeah.
So his gear was Cage's gear was King from Tekken.
There you go. Shout out to
Loves his pop culture. Andy Header helped me with that because he's
Yeah.
in our wrestling chat, and I was like, Andy, who's his gear? And he's like, easy.
So Cage got dropped into thumbtacks. Hook then decided to go for the red rum, but he gets dropped into the thumbtacks with Brian Cage trying to break the submission, but Cage ended up submitting.
Yeah.
What did you think of this match, ABJ?
It was fine. I kind of figured that's the way it was going to go down.
Yeah.
Brian Cage is a selfless dude, and he'll go out and do whatever you got to do to get him to as long as he's working, he's happy. And he went out and got choked out by Hook, which is a cool bit to do.
Yep. We also got the Mogul Embassy attacking, and there you go. Ray Phoenix has 3 titles.
Trios, tag, and international, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he'll never get into the world title scene.
No, I would love him to. I would love him to. I think he's proven he could be a world champion guy in the Lucha Underground.
I think if anybody's going to get into a world title scene from that group, it's going to be Penta.
Oh, Penta. I don't know. Yeah. I think Penta's good, but always when it comes to like when they're in the same company at the same time and they're both being utilized, Phoenix gets pushed harder.
Penta's Phoenix does get pushed harder. You are not wrong, but I think that Penta has more marketability as a world champion.
I disagree. I think Ray does.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Because if you look, I think more people look at Penta's. If you even like Lucha Underground, people were more behind Ray as that golden baby face than they were over Penta. And the only thing that holds Phoenix back is his size. If he had Rey Mysterio or Penta size, he would be the next Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
He would be Dragon Lee before Dragon Lee. The reason why Dragon Lee is getting pushed harder as a luchador guy is because he's a luchador guy with size. He looks like he's built like a pro wrestler. Or Phoenix has that smaller frame, and it's harder for him to get booked against bigger guys. And just like we're saying that's where Hook falls into that trap where he goes and beats a guy like Cage, and people are like, we don't buy it.
It's like Jimmy Walker choking out Arnold. Yeah. Ray was able to go toe-to-toe with Kenny more times than once and almost beat him when it matters.
Totally agree. Ray, I think work rate-wise, Ray is the better of the two as a wrestler. I think Phoenix does his 5 things really good, and he knows how to be more of the vicious wrestler. But I think when it comes to technicality, I think Ray Phoenix is up there with an Ospreay, a Kenny. Like, I think he's that good.
Yeah. I think that Phoenix and Penta deserve a decent run at the top. I think that they need to be pushed more. I think that it would be great to have them separated a little bit, but keeping runs at the top with titles for them. Yeah. Like, even if it's international and TNT title.
Or just put them in a good storyline. A lot of the storylines you've been putting them in were kind of weak because you're trying to make them spooky, and you didn't have to.
The biggest matches they've had were the Young Bucks versus Penta and Phoenix, and it was
and Pac returns.
That cage match was amazing.
Yeah,
but that cage
Pac
match was amazing. Soon. Yeah, Pac returns soon as well. So, Alex says, I would argue with how they are. Phoenix is above Kenny, but below Omega.
Yeah, I'm not saying he is better than a Will Ospreay or a Kenny, but I think he could be in the talks of being as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He meant Ospreay.
Ospreay and Kenny are built like pro wrestlers. They're jacked to the gills. But I think when it comes to in-ring ability and being able to do all of that, like, yes, Ray can't do the lifts as well as Kenny and them do, like the big heavy moves. But when it comes to just all around talent, if Ray had the size and the strength, he'd be as popular as those two guys. But his size holds him back.
Good question. with this CMLL talent coming in, I wonder how that will work with Ray and Penta because they're contracted to AAA.
Who knows?
Don't think there's a problem. I don't think there's a problem. I think that the internet wants to make it a problem.
If Penta, now that they're working together, if Penta comes back not as Penta El Cerro and he comes back as Pentagon, like comes back as his original name, then you know there's no beef.
Yeah.
Interesting. You know, here's an interesting take someone told me, and I can't honestly remember who said it. I don't know if it was said in the Discord or if you're listening and you hear me say this and you told me that when you're the one, please take credit. But some people are saying they're thinking this Sammy Guevara suspension is only because Sasha's coming. So maybe keep them away from each other.
But Sammy apologized.
He apologized and she accepted it, but now they're going to be in the same place at the same time, and maybe keep Sammy away for a little bit, just kind of so the fans don't fucking jump on that shit. Like, oh, what's Mercedes and Sammy gonna think? They're booked the same night. Like, I doubt it. I think that's internet community reaching, but I don't see how he gets suspended for what he did unless there was more that happened backstage.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really gone into detail on that. We got an announcement for the tag team title tournament, but we didn't get a start date for it, and we didn't get any teams.
You got one team.
Oh, well.
Oh, two teams.
Two teams. We ended up getting two teams,
yeah.
Which comes to the next point, which was Orange Cassidy backstage interview with Best Friends. Best Friends are technically entering the tag team tournament, but it's going to be Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta.
Yeah.
Not the other guy.
Chuck Taylor,
that's the one. Yeah.
Sneakers. Yeah.
Sneakers,
Honestly, with Orange Cassidy entering that tag team tournament, that automatically puts them very high on the list because Orange Cassidy's used as a top level guy.
Yeah. Alex says what apparently has been said backstage was that the only reason he was suspended was because of the injury to Jeff.
And I think that's so wild. That's so insanely wild. You did a 450 or a splash or whatever it may be onto your opponent. He puts his knees up, twists your body to hit your knee, regardless of how it happened. If two guys agreed to go to a ring and an injury and a mistake happens and you suspend a guy for a mistake, that's setting a really crazy precedent in your company. That a botch or an injury gets you suspended and lose your money.
It's not only that. If they were under concussion protocol because he was already concussed, it's technically on the ref because the ref should have stopped the match already because apparently Jeff was already concussed at that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was concussed he was concussed with the knees. The knees of the frog splash.
No, apparently it was before that.
Interesting. Oh yeah, there was a drop spot where he dropped him on his head first.
Yeah, and he was concussed before that, and it's actually technically it should be on the ref for not stopping the match.
Just like it should have been on Matt and the ref when he got hurt with Sammy when Matt got hurt.
Well, that's the thing. They did stop the match, but then Matt Hardy was like, "I'm good to go," and just continued,
which he wasn't, and it shouldn't have. No. But I just think it's a really bad way to say you messed up a move in a match and hurt a guy. So now you're unless he said like, "Hey, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna kick this dude in the face as hard as I can." Then you're suspended, you're fired. But a mistake in a ring when you're considered a high flyer and you do crazy flips, like that can happen.
Yeah, it can.
I think that's bonkers that he was suspended for that. And like I said, there has to be more to it because if now you're saying anytime there's a botch, someone's suspended. Yeah. So like Ray Phoenix drops Mox on his head in that move. Yeah. If that was now this week, is Ray Phoenix fired?
Would he be suspended? Yeah.
Would he be suspended?
Yeah.
It's if that's the case, that's setting a precedent to your Phoenix wasn't suspended. Phoenix got hurt himself the next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
He legit got hurt as well.
Yeah. Bringing up C. Henry's comment, is this like the third time?
It is the third time.
It is. But the first one was because of the comments with Sasha.
Yep. Second one was the backstage fight with Andrade.
Yep. And this is the third one.
Yeah.
Yep. So
but the backstage fight with Andrade, technically he was Andrade was going to the press and the media saying he hates AEW. He can't wait to go back to WWE. As soon as his contract's up, he's out of here. And Sammy kind of went out and said, then fucking leave.
If you don't like it here,
if you don't like
off,
it, leave. If you don't like our locker room, get the fuck out of it. And then Andrade waited for him at the door when they were loading in, and a fight happened. So I don't really see as the problem was Sammy. Sammy was sticking up for his company. If you don't like our locker room, leave the locker room. And Andrade ended up doing so. but he was just walking into the arena and he was attacked and you have to defend yourself. So the second one, I don't put blame on Sammy.
Yeah. So officially I would class this as 2.
I mean, technically it is 3, but I don't think the second one was his fault.
No, not at all. Next up, we had Killswitch versus Daddy.
If you're working for my podcast or my network or my thing, and you're talking trash, but still showing up every week and wanting the paycheck, fucking beat it.
Alex says, I think Sammy is wrongfully done with everything. Look, the first one was a stupid mistake about Sasha.
And it was old. Like he said it a long time ago, right?
And
it was a resurfaced podcast.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Sasha, but and you know my comments on her. I don't think she's a good wrestler. I don't think
but what Sammy said in that context, what Sammy said in 2000 whatever, it doesn't age in 2020 something anymore.
Yeah.
Like I think what she, and I'm not going to say it verbatim, but it was essentially said, Sasha Banks is so hot. I would R-word her.
Yeah. I think what we need to do is do a show that we call, that we basically, will it hold up in 2024?
The answer is no. Actually, who knows? Because 2024 we're starting to revert back hard. Like people are going on TV and saying like words you weren't supposed to say before.
Yeah. But I think we should do Will It Hold Up in 2024?
Yeah.
There you go. There's a new show idea. We next had Killswitch versus Daddy Magic. That we knew that this was going to be a squash match.
Yeah.
Killswitch gets the win with a choke slam. Garcia saves Daddy Magic, but ends up getting beaten down. As Christian and the family are going backstage, you get Adam Copeland coming out. He attacks Killswitch with a chair, then attacks Nick Wayne and goes to attack Christian. Mother Wayne goes for a low blow. Christian, obviously, not Christian, Copeland stops her, and then he chases after Christian through the arena out to the outside. Christian gets in an SUV after pulling some dude out and drives off, holding the belt out the window.
Love that. Love that touch.
Yep. And then Copeland comes to the camera and says that it's going to be that they're going to settle it once and for all. And it's going to be an I Quit match announced for Toronto in March 20th. Thoughts?
Yep.
Thoughts on this?
I like it. I think this is going to be a way to really set that tone and find out exactly how this is going to go down, and then from there we find out the future of that thing. And I honestly think, and new.
Yeah, I
think Adam Cole gets his first championship.
I definitely think that we're going to get a new champion.
Here's a question for you.
Yep.
How crazy is the rated R TNT championship going to look?
Ooh. That's going to look fucking mad.
I hope Alex, Alex is in here and he hears that, and I hope that clicks in his brain, because I don't know if it actually has yet. They released the tease of his figure coming out, and it's full leather jacket. It looks really, really cool.
Oh, nice. We then get Kyle O'Reilly backstage doing an interview saying how he's been away for almost 2 years now. Number one, that's surprising that it's been almost 2 years. And number two, he's looking like he's about to have a breakdown at any moment.
So his injury was crazy. His neck was really bad, really, really bad. I told you I mean, I'll say a little bit. But when I met Davey Richards, and I said, we were literally sitting at the booth because it was me, Big Damo, and Davey Richards, and I was in between them helping both of them with a meet and greet.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of playing on my phone. We're talking because nobody's coming in yet. And I go, oh man, Kyle just had a successful surgery. And he goes, well, who? And I said, Kyle O'Reilly. He's like, I fucking love that kid. Like, cause he helped train Kyle. And he's like, I'm going to be honest. I was shocked that he made it into WWE past their medical clearances because his neck was bad then before NXT and AEW. And it was bad then to the point where like people were like, Kyle, you're going to paralyze yourself. Your neck's bad. You need to fucking take care of it. So that dude wrestled his whole NXT run, then came to AEW and wrestled a little bit of that run, then went and got his neck fused.
Yeah.
And then came back and now he's going to wrestle again. But on top of that, he's also diabetic.
And not only that, he'd been out with injuries in NXT as well.
Yes, but it was never for his neck.
But it was never his neck. It was like his knee or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. And on top of that, he's diabetic. So I think his recovery from surgery on top of his diabetes, like he did lose some weight and he does have a little bit of bags and he looks a little skinnier because how much weight he lost. But man, I'm so like, I was telling you when we were walking to Wembley, I was like, bro, this whole devil story, like it's gotta be Adam Cole. It's got to be Roderick. And I think Kyle's going to be involved at some point in time because at that time at Wembley last year, he was he was starting to come backstage and hanging out and he wasn't cleared yet, but he was present.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
that's right. Because he had to show up to TV.
Yeah. When he became present backstage and people were like, oh, I think the tease was Roderick wearing the neck brace. Almost like
because AEW has a protocol in place where you have to be at TV tapings before you get cleared.
Yes.
Yeah, before you can return to the show.
There was talks that he's been backstage since around Wembley, and I was like, it's funny that Roderick's playing this neck injury when Kyle legit went through a real neck injury, and then around the time Kyle was cleared is when he took the neck brace off on TV. And then Kyle shows up now. So it's kind of like, it's almost like he's been like linked to Kyle.
Yeah. C. Henry asks, do you think that AEW's light schedule and that AEW is a great fit for Kyle rather than WWE's schedule?
I think AEW's schedule is amazing for any wrestler. Like I really do. And AEW will be like, yo, thank you for your time. Go enjoy 6 months out. Go enjoy 5 months out. You know what I mean? Like
take a break and recover. Yeah.
Tony Khan looks at it like, MJ, if you're our biggest star, we'll figure it out. Go enjoy. Go heal up. Go rest. Go do that. We have a fucking stacked roster that we can slide in here.
Yeah. Foreshadowing because he's a smart mark. Yeah. She used it properly.
She's learning.
Gold star for Lily. Next up, we had the EVPs in the ring for their interview and their big announcement. They announced that they are putting themselves in the tag team tournament. So we have two teams already announced for the tag team tournament. They next announced that they have suspended Hangman from the Elite due to him attacking the two referees.
Only suspended, though.
Yeah, only suspended. From the Elite, though.
From the Elite.
Not from the company, from the Elite.
You can't represent us, but you didn't lose your job.
Yeah. Then they announced that they are firing Kenny Omega from the Elite.
Kenny's now babyface.
Kenny has been fired from the Elite due to being out for a what did they say? Specific.
Just disappearing. No one he didn't tell him anything.
Basically, a pointless reason.
Yes.
Even though he has the potential
of
getting. If diverticulitis goes wrong, then he's dead.
Yeah.
It is a bad fucking thing.
But what a bad move to kick out one of the greatest wrestlers of our generation. Like, how do you replace someone like Kenny Omega in the Elite?
Well, speaking of that, they're about to make a second announcement, but Eddie Kingston decides to come out, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Why?
And he decides that he wants to talk shit on the Bucks again because they said to him last week, if they talk shit on him, he will be fined. So he throws some money and goes to start talking shit, starts fighting, and then you get the Bucks beating him down. They get set for the EVP trigger, only for that golden coin to drop. And the Bucks stop. Look at the entrance way. The place goes bananas. And Kazuchika Okada makes his AEW debut.
Yes, he is officially all elite.
All elite. Comes into the ring, stands with Eddie Kingston, goes to attack the Young Bucks, grabs Kingston around the waist, grabs his wrist, and lands a Rainmaker on Eddie Kingston.
He is not just all elite, he is in the elite.
He is elite. He is a member of the elite.
Now
he has now replaced Kenny Omega.
Now, I don't know much about Okada. I know he's very, very talented. I know he's very, very good. He's essentially, if I'm not mistaken, like the John Cena Hulk Hogan of New Japan Wrestling.
Correct.
He was always babyface. He never played a heel in his career. This is essentially the first time we're seeing him heel.
He did play a heel towards the start of his career, much like Cena.
Yes.
Played a heel towards the start of his career, but throughout his timeline, he moved up in the card and became a world champion, became the babyface of the company, the guy that you can market to the Japanese public because he's cute and he's your safe choice. And he turns around and now has done what John Cena could never do. He's joined a brand new company and turned heel.
Where does this lie? Now, I know probably execution-wise, it's not as big because that execution of what I'm about to say was probably still to this day the most talked about and probably most well-done heel turn in professional wrestling history. But is this on the level of a Hogan turning into the NWO?
This definitely turns the intensity up and definitely could potentially be as big as Hogan turning heel.
Yeah, I think the way Hogan turned heel was done. I'm not a Hogan fan, but that's a moment in wrestling that will never, ever, ever be taken away from him. That leg drop to Randy Savage and the trash being thrown in the ring, you'll never get that again. I mean, you can, but you're gonna have to fucking do something for it. Okada tonight is on the level like of importance of it, but it wasn't done to the same extent.
Yeah.
When I say Okada turning heel, I'm saying when Okada hit the rise of his career. Like John Cena played a little bit of a heel at one point in time. Hogan had a little bit of a heel or early in his career when he was just like the bleach blonde guy. But like when they became who we all know them for, they were the golden face baby. Like there was no chance they were training. They were making too much money. But here's my question.
Yeah.
What's your take or predictions on Okada's first feud run or anything in the company?
I think now, because of the way they played that, I'm expecting Kenny back sooner rather than later.
I don't.
You don't?
I think he has a feud and a rivalry first.
I think Okada has a rivalry first, but I think that's obviously going to be with Kingston. But I think
Kingston was able to overcome everybody
in the G1 as well. Yeah,
he's not overcoming Okada.
Yeah, and
Okada
I think
will be
eventually
crown champion.
But I think they eventually set up Okada Omega again. Like they're clearly setting up for that.
And I think when that happens, I think Okada's your triple crown champion.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Okada takes that triple crown to the next level. Kingston did a great job establishing it, but Okada's going to make that title. Holy fuck, that's a title.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Great choice.
I think the triple crown can then go from Okada to Kenny to Ospreay. Like there's a lot of play with that title with top guys that don't necessarily have to be world champions first.
I want to go to this. I believe he wasn't a heel in TNA. No worries. I believe he wasn't a heel in TNA. I, however, believe he was a smug babyface. Like, so he didn't really care. Like, he was that type of arrogant face, if you know what I mean by that. I'm not saying like he was a heel, but yeah. Moving on from that, we next had Chris Statlander versus Riho. We had Statlander showing a bit more of her fierce side tonight, rather than the Statlander we've known and seen throughout the series, like throughout AEW. We get more of an edge to her in a way. The answer to this question is definitely. We're definitely getting another show in the UK already. I think Japan and Australia are definitely two markets they're going to look at. I think Japan will probably be the first market they move into, rather than coming over here to Australia, mainly because of the fact that if they're going to do it, they'll do Japan, then Australia, and run a set of shows combined, because it's just easier to travel that way. Okada's been semi-heel, just never for a long time, as fans have refused to boo him. Yeah, you're not correct. Sorry, Kai, you are correct, definitely. I honestly should have known Okada was going to turn heel. He was wearing a clean suit instead of the usual Rainmaker t-shirt or Rainmaker outfits that he wears, definitely. We definitely, Okada is a big get for AEW. This is the thing that people don't want to understand is Okada was huge in Japan. Okada was the biggest star Japan has been able to make. And we forget about Kenny. We forget about all the Western stars. This is a Japan-only person that has been huge. He is the biggest star that they have made. And he has been able to transcend from just being like a wrestler to that guy. He is the John Cena of New Japan. There is no doubt about that. Tanahashi hasn't transcended like Okada has. Okada has a reach, and more people would know Okada's name rather than they would Tanahashi. In my opinion. That's in my opinion. But I could be wrong. Next, as I said, next up we had Rio versus Statlander. Statlander showing a bit more of the fierce side. Stokely decides to give her the chain. Statlander throws the chain outside of the ring. Rio wins the match via a roll-up. We did not expect that. What did you think of that, ABJ?
I'm sorry, you have to repeat what you just said.
Rio getting the win over Statlander.
Oh, I think that's important because I think that sets that if Willow gets the win over her, then I think that sets a tone for Statlander possibly turning on Willow, or whatever the Willow Statlander feud's going to be, or even Willow beating later on down the line Julia Hart. I think if she's calling her shot at Julia Hart now, I think she's a legit contender, and I think maybe Statlander joins that group. Yep.
Next up, we had Timeless Tony Storm backstage doing an interview. This is an interesting comment.
I honestly thought Willow was turning heel too. But this week was like a huge thing of like maybe Statlander does now. Like it's weird. Because both of them are so generally known as baby faces that either one of them going heel is crazy.
Do you think they're trying to throw
100%? 100%. I think they're doing a good job making you think either one of them are going to possibly be be heel here.
This one's already known. He's going to WWE.
Yeah, he's 100% signed to WWE.
Yeah, he's signed to WWE.
Did you see that meme that's going out? You ever see the meme of the guy with the gold medal and the champagne, and he's kissing the girl, and he's like he won first place, and he's the very bottom, and it's like Okada, Mercedes Moné, and all the people that have been recently signed to AEW and then WWE with Tommy Tonga, and he's like,
yeah.
I think Tama Tonga going there is awesome. Because I think Tama Tonga is just the beginning. I think more Haku's bloodline is going to start showing up. I think you might see Fatu show up. I think you might see Fatu's not part of that bloodline, but I think Fatu can be there. I think Lance Anawahi can make a run to NXT, which I think he'd be perfect for NXT. I think there's a lot more different between bloodline and Tongan bloodline that could be showing up in WWE very soon.
Yeah. Alex asked, which brand do you see Tama Tonga on?
The rumor is that he's possibly the 3-face thing in NXT.
Yeah.
That
was Sean Spears.
Oh, that was Sean Spears. He was a 3-face? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Never mind.
So
Tonga, I still think Tonga goes NXT though.
Yeah. I watched all the CZW with a young heel Statlander. It was weird, but you can see how much she's grown.
Yes, absolutely.
100%. Next up, we had Riho and versus Willow announced for Big Business. Once again, here I think they're trying to throw us off the scent on who's going to turn heel.
Yeah,
I think that that C. Henry could be right. Willow could turn heel.
I would love it. I'd love to see that dynamic of her. And the only thing that makes me upset if someone does join, if Willow or Statlander does throw or join Julia Hart, is later on in the show we get the House of Black with Julia Hart doing a promo, and Sky Blue's not with them. And I think like if she's going to be with Julia, she should be also part of the House of Black. Unless you're trying to do something completely different, where Julia is the leader of her own thing and the House of Black is their own thing, which I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Next up, we had Darby coming out and running his emotional promo, saying Sting's gone, and then he's going to climb Mount Everest in a couple of weeks. And then we get Jay White coming out. Jay White is golden.
Well, he also said too, and not to make a lot of a situation, and this is not me hoping anything or wishing anything, because I may not like Darby as a professional wrestler. He doesn't speak to me as a wrestler, but as a person, I don't know him like that. You know, I know there's allegations and all that, but I don't wish death upon anybody. But he's legit going on a mission or going to do something that there's a possibility you die during doing that. And I think he's kind of saying like, there's a possibility you never see me again. And this could be my last match, because I think realistically speaking, it could happen.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We then had Jay White come out, and Jay White is golden on the microphone, and interested to see this match, Darby versus Jay. I think it's two different dynamics that are going to work very well in the ring, because Darby, we've said it before, he doesn't have the ring psychology that someone like Jay White has. Jay White can tell a story in the ring. This will see us whether or not Darby can actually tell that story in the ring. What do you think?
I my only question with this is going to be, do you give Darby his send off before he goes on this thing and treat him for his accomplishments with Sting with a win over Jay White? Or do you see Jay White as a future in your company and you give him the win here and carry him on?
I personally think that what's going to happen is we're going to get Jay White destroying Darby and taking him out so it gives him the time off to do the Mount Everest thing.
Also, real quick, the death rate for climbing Mount Everest in the last 30 years is 1%.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's still very high, even though it's only 1%. It's still very high when you think about it.
Not really. 1% of people who climb Mount Everest die.
Yeah, but if you're thinking like that's like 1 in 100.
I thought it was higher. I'm going to be honest. I thought climbing Mount Everest, there was like a 30-40% chance it can go wrong. But now I'm kind of looking into it more, and maybe I over exaggerate that a lot. Since 1922, 322 people died on Mount Everest, and that's 4.4 deaths a year.
There you go.
I remember seeing a documentary though, where like people are climbing and they're like, oh, there's a body, and they just leave it because the resources to get it down are too high. Like it's too dangerous to take it with you, so they just leave the body as a mile marker. And the way that documentary sound is like, it's so common that it happens. And then this is only 322 people since 1922 have died there, and that's only 4 a year. Like, I don't know. Maybe they embellished that a little bit on that documentary.
Maybe.
God damn it.
Next up, we had the Julia Hart segment backstage. She announces that she's having an open house match on Rampage. Basically, it's an open challenge. As you said,
is that on Rampage or was that a big business?
No, Rampage.
Oh,
it's for Rampage. Then we get the House of Black video. After the commercial break, we get a House of Black video, basically challenging Mark Briscoe to bring some friends. We then get Mark Briscoe backstage, who's having an interview with Renee.
I love his
Jay Lethal.
The Mark Briscoe one eye, like he just.
Then Jay Lethal comes up and says he wants to tag with Mark, and that they're going to bring Jeff Jarrett in for it as well.
I'm with it. Give it to me.
Yeah. As much as in 2024, I don't need to see Jeff Jarrett.
Before you say another fucking word, Sting just went 29-0. And Jeff Jarrett would dance circles around Sting.
You're not wrong, unfortunately.
And he's way more entertaining.
You're not fucking wrong, and shut up. Shut up, ABJ. You're not fucking wrong.
Jeff Jarrett is an icon, god damn it. And he should be treated as such.
And look, he gave me some of the funniest fucking segments last year.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So I'll let him have his sauce on his fucking Philly cheesesteak.
Yes, Jeff Jarrett is an icon who beat the icon. And also, Lily, the success rate of people who physically make it to the top is between 60 to 70%.
No, Mark Briscoe does not ever win the ROH championship. Never. I don't see him being a world title holder in that company. Yeah. He at the moment is, and I hate to say this, a sympathy guy. The spot he has is sympathy because his brother died. And it sucks.
I want to disagree with that, but it's his booking hasn't shown much else.
Yeah. Yeah. We come to the final segment of the night, and it's the Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher match. I don't even need to say anything because this was by far the best fucking match of the show. Fucking amazing. Like, Ospreay has showcased why he was one of the most sought after talent in the world.
And after the match he just put on over the weekend, that was crazy.
Yeah. The fact him versus Takeshita was insane, and Takeshita looked like he was knocked the fuck out from that elbow, and they still put on a banger. You've had him go against Kyle Fletcher, being another one of his guys, being fucking amazing on a free TV show. And
it feels weird seeing Ospreay for free, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And the reaction.
When's the last time Okada wrestled for free?
It was in February.
Yeah.
It was in February. Yeah.
Oh, he wrestled. No, just recently. Didn't he just wrestle in Impact? He wrestled he had a pay-per-view match, and the next day he wrestled.
Was a pay-per-view, though.
No, he wrestled the next night after the pay-per-view on their show. When TNA's first show back, I think they did a rematch of the pay-per-view live on their TV. But that was, I think, taped.
Yeah. What is Ospreay wrestling his teammates leading to? It is leading to Ospreay being the biggest face of your company and completely obliterating the world title scene.
It also shows that both members of the Don Callis family are elite professional wrestlers.
Yeah. Ospreay wins the match with a hidden blade straight to the face, not to the back of the head, which I think was pretty much chef's kiss for that, the way they ended that match. End of the show, we get the holy shit moment, because we set up for Ospreay's next.
Real fast, before we get into that, we've been watching. Well, I've been doing these hangouts, watching WWE product now for a couple weeks, a month, and I see a matchup like we just got tonight, and I immediately go, "How we fuck finishing this one?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they're gonna go out and they're gonna put on a match, which is okay, but it's a Monday Night Raw. It's a WWE weekly television match.
Yep.
And it's not pay-per-view quality style match. And then it ends in a fuck finish, and then we go home, and that's usually the main event of the show.
Yep.
This is where I will always say, and I'm not pro one company over the other. I prefer AEW over WWE, but I like professional wrestling. I want to be excited for professional wrestling. And this is where, as a fan, I struggle watching weekly WWE television because I feel like they save everything for the pay-per-view, right?
Yep.
This match was a pay-per-view quality match. This match could have went on any pay-per-view card, and it would have been considered one of the best pay-per-view matches on the show.
You're not wrong.
And AEW just gave it to for free on a Wednesday night.
Yep. And they didn't do a fucked finish either.
No.
They did a clean finish, and we got, at the end of the show, we get my holy shit moment of the night, besides Okada, of course, of Bryan Danielson of the Blackpool Combat Club coming out and standing face to face with Will Ospreay as the show ends.
Here's another crazy thing about AEW. We're fantasy booking. I'm fantasy booking on the Hangout of who can go where and do what, right? And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, you can do Okada versus Will Ospreay in London, and boy, would that be a match. You could do Okada and Kenny. You could do Kenny versus Ospreay, and we're putting all these major matches together. And that roster is so goddamn deep that when the music hit, it's almost like you forgot fucking Bryan Danielson works for this company too.
You're not fucking wrong.
You know what I'm saying? Like if Jay White walked out, you're like, fucking White versus Ospreay? Yes. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much there that you're like, oh my God. There's every week you could put a dream match on and you're not angry about it.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, that's a deep fucking roster, man. That's yikes.
Yeah.
And we don't know when or how that match is going to happen. Big Business looks good, but I don't think we're getting it that soon. I think that's
we're
Dynasty.
Definitely not getting it at Big Business. I think it's probably going to be saved for a pay-per-view.
I think it'll be Dynasty.
Yeah.
Because when you think wrestling dynasties, Danielson and Ospreay are two of the biggest names. When people argue who are the best in the world right now, it's either Ospreay or Danielson. Now, I know Kai in the chat's going to throw some fucking Stardom bullshit at us. But I think in majority of wrestling talk, I apologize. I think Stardom's very low on that total. I think if you're a Stardom fan, you're a Stardom fan. But if you're not a Stardom fan, you have no idea what the fuck's going on over there.
Yeah.
It's definitely a niche market. But yes. And I'm not saying that no one over there is not talented. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying that most people, when they say the best in the world, they think of these two men, and they just faced off to end Dynamite tonight for its season debut, or however they want to say it.
Yeah. I'm going to bring out in the person who's backstage and get their
comments. Yeah, and you guys have the same color t-shirt on. That's pretty crazy.
But mine is still better than his.
If his shirt said cream on it, I would disagree.
Hey,
I need a Dr. If anyone out there who wants to send ABJ a gift, I need a Dr. Pepper cream soda logo, cream t-shirt.
Oh, there you go, ABJ. There's a comment for you from
There you
Kai.
go. Osprey Omega have to put over. Yeah.
How are you not saying that CM Punk is not the best in the world?
Because he's not.
CM Punk is a good professional wrestler. CM Punk is the best in the world at selling a match. But when it comes down to what can be done when the bell rings, Danielson and Okada are Danielson and I mean Okada as well and
Danielson,
Osprey.
Okada, Osprey, Omega.
They are the best in the world. Yeah.
4 of Zack Sabre Jr. 5.
But I'll tell you this:
Joe.
out of all those
Fucking
5 guys, out of all those 5 guys that we just named,
Samoa Joe has got to be one of those wrestlers too.
I think he's very good, but I think maybe Samoa Joe 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago would have been in that category. Yeah. But I will put Samoa Joe in the same category as CM Punk, where if you need tickets sold and you need people to feel why this match. So when you're the best in the world, you can be matched up against anybody and it's a big fight feel because you're the best in the world. Yeah. And then it's a very rare occurrence where someone's the best in the world and also amazing on the mic to also sell the fight even more. But when you're not even that amazing on the mic and you just show up and say, it's me, and people are pumped for it, that is why you're one of the best in the world. Punk in ring is not on those levels, but when he gets on a microphone, when Punk gets a microphone in his hand, you want to buy his match. Exactly. There's one guy in AEW who fits the bill of a CM Punk, an Osprey, and Omega, and all those guys. And I think what he's been doing in the ring shows he is one of the best in the world as well. And that's MJF.
Yep.
MJF is MJ. So Conor McGregor, like, is
there you go. Alex said it as well.
Yeah.
MJF is your complete package. Seth Rollins is a complete package in this building, in this business. Seth is someone you give a microphone and you give him a ring and he will tear a fucking house apart.
Right.
Osprey is not there yet. And even Osprey said in his in the press conference, he goes, I've never cut a live promo to an American crowd. I've never cut a promo to a crowd who understands what I say. So I don't really worry about hearing that immediate feedback. So this is new for this whole layer of Will Ospreay going forward and is going to be brand new. That for Okada, that's going to be a whole new feeling of going out to a crowd that doesn't speak Japanese. And how does he sell a match? Yeah.
And are going to boo him.
Which is perfect for him to be a heel because he can't go out and do a babyface promo because he doesn't know how to speak English as that well.
Yeah. You don't have a person who can translate properly to the English crowd for him.
You know what? Oh my God, it's gonna be so good if he just like, can we get an interview? And he does the Shinsuke. I'm sorry, I don't speak English, and walk away.
Exactly.
I love when the foreign wrestler does that. It's my fucking.
You know what's funny?
But this also
Renee Paquette actually did that interview when he said that he couldn't speak English.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You know who legit used to do that? Like do that as a professional wrestler in America? Tajiri.
Yeah.
Tajiri spoke perfect English, but if a fan came up to him and he didn't want, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. My English isn't great. And he'd walk away. And he'd be like, got him.
It's like Shinsuke can actually speak English, but just
he has an accent. He has the
heaviness to his accent.
I don't want to say speech. It's not a speech impediment, but it's an accent, I guess, right?
Yeah, he has a heaviness to his accent that causes people to not understand what he's saying.
If you're speaking, if it's your second language, is it still considered an accent?
Yes.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting.
Because it's like my mum was born in Liverpool, England. She lives in Australia. She's lived in Australia since she was 13. She retained most of her British accent for most of her life. And I didn't notice it when I was growing up, but I've had people that live here and were born here. Oscar's a fine example. He's British, lived in Australia all his life, but he has a British accent.
Yeah, I would never have guessed he lived in Australia.
Yeah. He lived
except
in Australia.
James. When actually, here's the difference though. When you were around Oscar, he didn't flip. Like he didn't automatically start sounding Australian again.
But he never did. He never did.
Oh.
Yeah, he always sounded British.
From
But my buddy
Australia,
James was with me
accent is
15
British?
minutes, and he was already sounding like he was from Pennsylvania again. He was like Pennsylvania, UK. He's like, bro,
That was
what's going on, bud?
hilarious.
I'm like, yo, you just flipped. He's like, oh, I hate it, bro. I hate it.
Kai, you're gonna get us cancelled, my friend. If someone uses sign language and they have only one arm, is that a speech impediment or an accent?
Listen, my question was legit, all right? Because I don't want to call it broken English because I think that's insensitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's still an accent because he was born in that country and he was he lived most of his life in that country and had the accent to his vocal stylings.
Moving on. We're taking way too long on this. Yeah.
Cut that.
I think that signing Okada and having him appear tonight was a smart move by AEW. I think that pushing Ospreay in the main event was a fucking smart move for AEW, and now giving him the Danielson feud or Danielson match to come is going to be absolutely amazing. Like, this for me felt like circa 2019, 2020 AEW, this show. It felt like they're back on track and they know where they're going now and that they know what they're going to do. What do you guys think?
I think they just set a huge tone for the company of storylines going forward throughout the entire show. If you run through every single card, every single segment, every single thing that was done on tonight's show, we're all talking about it. Tonight's AEW says, I'm excited for the next AEW. I'm excited for what's to come. Storyline wise, does Willow get the job done and go for the TBS championship? Is she going to use the chain because Statlander didn't? Like, that's a story. Then you have the Jay White and the club, and now Darby. That's a story. But Jay White seems like he wants to break out and enter more of that solo team scene.
Yeah.
But he also played heel, even though he's a babyface with the Acclaim. So that's kind of interesting to see if Jay White's
look, I know you're not a fan of Darby, but you got to admit that segment was not bad.
Jay White
was not bad at all.
I think when Darby started talking, it got weak again.
But it wasn't a bad segment for
Jay White. I think Jay White carried that segment.
For a Darby segment, it wasn't a bad segment.
Yeah.
But
Ospreay, we have a clear path at Ospreay. The swerve and Joe thing inserted the Kingdom tonight, which is like, oh shit. Like, there's a lot going on in the company, and then insert Okada, there's a lot, like everything about tonight. If someone says right now that they don't watch AEW because there's no storylines, spit on them because they're silly.
Tell them to get fucked.
Yeah. So you're an idiot. That's like me saying I'm not invested in New Japan because they have no story. I only watch it once every 6 months. Of course, I don't think there's a story there because I don't know the history of what's going on.
No, it's like you saying you're going to McDonald's, but you're on a diet.
Sure.
You're going to get it.
It's more like it's like hating a movie because someone else gave you a review and told you that they didn't like it, but you refused to watch it. But you're going your entire life thinking the movie sucked because you heard it was bad from one person.
And if
you're actively watching it, if you're actively watching the product and saying you don't like what's here, then you're either insanely biased and you don't want it to be successful, because that's a thing. I literally got into a whole fight with a guy on TikTok because I don't want AEW to be not successful, and I want it to stay around. But I think they're done in 7 years. I think they're a bad company, and I think they'll be gone in 7 years. And it's like, are you crazy? Like, why do you want AEW to go away? As a WWE fan, WWE has changed its landscape because of AEW. Competition in business is good.
You're not wrong. C. Henry asks, in your guys' opinion, who in the roster is stronger, AEW or WWE?
No comparison.
Look, it is a very, very hard comparison because you've got some fucking strong talent in WWE and you've got some fucking strong talent in AEW. Like WWE, you've got Cody, you've got Seth, you've got Randy, you've got all those top guys. They're huge. They're household names because of the fact that WWE's had that legacy. But you got to remember that AEW's only been around for what now? We're entering year 5.
Here's a question. Here's a comparison of the two. Don't look at the main title picture because the main title pictures haven't changed in either company in a little bit. AEW more recently than the other two. Who's the most over guy in WWE that's not Cody Rhodes, who is a mid card guy? Oh no, she's not joking. The guy in the TikTok chat said Shawn Michaels has historically been a jobber.
I know, that's why I'm laughing.
Insane. But anyway, who's WWE's big guy that's not Cody? Merch sales out the ass, super popular. Everyone chants his stuff. Who's that guy?
LA Knight.
LA Knight. Who's the equivalent of LA Knight on AEW? Whose house?
Swerve's house.
Who is more believable in the next 6 months to 8 months will be the world champion of that company?
Swerve.
Most likely Swerve.
So who's booking better than who?
You're not wrong.
I'm just being honest. WWE, they build a mid-card guy for you to get super behind, but they're never going to do anything with him.
No.
He's a catchphrase. He's a merch pusher catchphrase guy. There's in no world that I believe that LA Knight will be a world champion. And kind of in the WWE landscape, you hit a certain ceiling that you're never going to be a world champion, and you're like, and everybody automatically goes, well, I wonder what title LA Knight's going to win. Is it the US title or the IC? Like, they immediately already put him to a mid-card title because they know WWE's booking, he's never going to hit that height.
Yeah.
And AEW, sure, they have been dropping the ball with some big names coming in, like a Miro and an Alistair and an Andrade and guys who could be world champions. But there's never been someone who's been the world champion so far of this company that you're like, they shouldn't have been the world champion.
Look, we had a match in AEW where the person at the time had no right being a contender for a world title. And that was when Orange Cassidy was in that cage match with Puck and Kenny.
Well, it wasn't a cage. It was a regular match.
I thought it was a cage.
No, it was open. It was no cage. Bucks and Lucha were caged later on that night, I think.
Yes, sorry. But yeah, it was Puck, Kenny, and Orange Cassidy.
But during that match, if you didn't think, holy shit, Orange Cassidy's going to win this at least 3 times because he captivated you as a pro wrestler, you're crazy. I'm a smart fan who gave Orange Cassidy 0 chance to win that world title. But there was a few times in that match I'm like, holy shit, I think Orange Cassidy they might do this. They might pull the fucking trigger on Orange Cassidy, which I still think at some point, I think Orange Cassidy will be a world champion of AEW.
Oh, you're not wrong. I think he definitely has the potential. Like, I see the international title being the equivalent of the IC title in WWE and being that workhorse belt. Mm-hmm. And it is the belt that people go for, or you put on a guy can work and can build them to be a future world champion.
Yeah, WWE just finally made the IC title a fun title again, and they're putting together some storylines with the IC title that you're like, I'm kind of excited who's going to be the guy to go after Gunther, like, because you kind of feel like Gunther
used to be the stepping stone title. It used to be that you get the IC title, then you get a chance to go for the world title.
Mm-hmm. US title is kind of just like a celebrity's holding it just to get some new eyes on the product. So no one's
US
really.
Title wasn't even a WWE title originally. It was a WCW title.
But I'm saying I'm just trying to compare what's going on in that one company to the other. It's like the international title right now is hot with Orange Cassidy. Now it's getting a new life with somebody else. Like, there's a lot of titles that are being, like, when you get a secondary title in the company, like, hate the Triple Crown all you want, but now the Triple Crown is going to be defended probably against Okada coming up.
Yep.
Kind of interesting for that title right now. You know what I mean? Like, the TNT title, Adam Copeland may be a new TNT championship right now. Like, every title in that company is starting to mean something. And it's starting to be like, I'm kind of pumped for the future of this. Like the Logan Paul, we're like, whoever wins it, cool. You know what I mean? It's like, you always feel like you're like, there's a secondary world champion in that company that is being called by its own company the runner-up title. So if you're secondary world championships runner-up, then your secondaries are off the map.
Yeah, you're not wrong. See, Henry asked, off topic, I know, but could TNA draw 10,000 fans for a show if booked strong enough?
Yes.
I want to say yes, but I don't think so. I think that
I'm in between. I don't even know.
With the fact that they're possibly going to lose half their roster due to the shit that went down with Scott D'Amore, I think there'll be a bit of a problem there.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna backtrack on that. 10,000's tough right now because they just recently had a card where Speedball Mike Bailey wrestled Ospreay, and Okada was there, and Kushida was on the card, and they hit a lot of young rostered people on that card, and it made waves. Like Impact makes waves with their pay-per-views, and then they lose people at their weekly television because it's just people aren't willing to go and watch it on YouTube, or they don't have access to Access TV, and they hit that slump. But there's a lot going on over there that I think if you're a pro wrestling fan, I think you should be giving Impact a chance.
Don't get me wrong, Impact has some fucking
TNA,
great talent.
TNA.
So yeah, TNA has some great talent in their company. They have some of the best talent in the world. And the problem they have is a lot of what WWE at the time in the Attitude or early Attitude era, when we were taping 3-6 weeks ahead, and people knew about the results. You're worried too?
When he's ready, we'll bring him back.
Yeah. When the camera pans back up.
Yeah.
Last thing we need is a YouTube violation.
Yeah. No one dumping your beans out in front of everybody, DM. Jesus Christmas.
I was just fixing some things.
I know, but you stood up and put your whole crotch in the front of the camera. You're like, check out my crotch. You're like, oh, Jesus. All right, anyway.
Yeah, I personally don't think that TNA could draw 10,000. I think that AEW, before it was AEW, when it was ROH and the Independents, drawing $10,000 was a fluke. Not a fluke in as such. It was.
So here's the thing, you will all say that, and then I'll be the villain for being in the room when it was said.
You're not wrong.
The kid hates me, and all I did was relay complaints from everybody else. Hey man, everyone said they're upset that you're doing this. Fuck Blackwell. So you guys will make the joke and laugh, and then I'll be the one who will be villainized for
it. Blackwell, your answer to this comment by C. Henry. Because you know the ins and outs of Speedball Mike Bailey.
So I will say this: I think 90% of your pro wrestling is who you know, where you know, and where you're respected. I personally think Jordan Grace made huge waves for WWE, and I think WWE turned around and said, "Where the fuck did this shit come from?" I'm being honest. I think there's some people in WWE who are completely unaware of what's going on in TNA right now. And I think they've seen Jordan Grace and go, And then I think they talk to Jordan Grace and they go, "You think there's anybody else over here that's on?" She probably went, and no, Naomi's probably backstage going, "You should see this Chris Bay. You should see this Ace Austin. You should see this Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly, and check out fucking Speedball Mike Bailey." I think there's a lot more eyes on that. And now that everyone's saying they might leave, unless it's complete storyline, because now there's rumors that it might be a giant work. If that's the case, if it's not the case and they are all about to leave, I think WWE has their eyes on a lot of people over in TNA. And I think TNA, if they bring those people from TNA and don't insert them into the main roster right away and put them over in NXT, you just made almost like a brand new NXT Black and Gold with another company like they did with ROH. And I think that would rejuvenate that. Imagine WWE's roster right now. We look at it and we go, there's not much I would add or change that would make a serious impact on that company with what they have and what they're booking and who can return from injury, But you look at NXT and you're like, it's good, but there's holes. And then you fill those holes with TNA. Impact's a watchable show, like a really must-see show again, where you start plugging in your Chris Bays, Ace Austins, your Speedballs, and you plug them into NXT. You just made takeovers really good again.
And especially if you can throw some of your NXT talent over to TNA to get them a little bit of run with an experience.
Yeah.
With guys.
Because you have to learn the
girls
WWE
who are-
system, regardless of
Like-
how, if you think you're a wrestling fan and you know, I'm telling you right now, some wrestlers who are some of the best in the world struggle inside the WWE system. Kenny tried out for WWE and they said, "You're not for us."
Yeah.
And passed on him because they have a set style that they want to wrestle, because their style is, you're our quarterback to our team and you can't get hurt. So your weekly television wrestling has to change and you have to wrestle a WWE style match.
And then when Kenny went and made a name for himself in Japan and made a name for himself outside of the company, what did they do? Before AEW was even existing as a company, they went for him. They wanted him.
But I honestly think at that point in time, and I'm going to be completely honest, I think they were trying to get some guys that were going to be pro AEW and just threw a number at them. And they were going to cater them. I think they would have brought in a Kenny, used him once or twice, got some pop, got some merch, and stuck him in catering.
99% agree with you on that one. There's the 1% that says that he would probably main event a B grade pay-per-view, and
I think he would main event maybe once. They would have a guy from their company beat him to say that was the best in the world. Roman Reigns just squashed him, and then he's back on the mid. He's a mid card guy.
That's what I mean. A B grade pay-per-view, something like Backlash or Great Balls of Fire, whatever the fuck they called it.
That's my personal opinion on how WWE was as a company then.
Yeah.
I think now if WWE would get a big name, it'd be interesting to see how they book it. But WWE has made it a point that they are not looking for people on the outside, that they are going to bring kids in from college that are mega athletes, and they're going to turn they're essentially going to take someone who has no wrestling background and make them WWE superstars. And that's their plan.
They're making athletes into wrestlers. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that how the new NXT is going? Because it feels like all those people that are in NXT now are all college students.
Yeah, that's pretty much they essentially are. They're super athletes straight out of college that have no wrestling background, and WWE is making them wrestlers because they can mold them into the style they want. Yeah. And then they own this wrestler from start to finish. They have the entire library of that wrestler from start to finish. And if that wrestler then becomes the next John Cena, the next Rock, the next Charlotte, they own everything about that wrestler
under that umbrella. Yep.
Now, if they go out and get somebody from the outside, there's hours and footage of that wrestler that's out there that's not WWE's, and they can't market them the same way.
We're going to wrap it up here because we've gone an hour and a half now. Thank you, guys. Before we do go, I just want to get your rating for the overall episode of Dynamite.
Ooh. And
DM, I'll start with you. What did you give? What would your rating be for the overall episode of Dynamite?
I would give it. I definitely would give the main event
overall.
I would definitely give the main event a 5-star plus, but out of the whole show, I would give it probably like an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, ABJ.
Jake in the chat says his final rating of Dynamite is a 7.5. 7.
Wow.
He gave Rio Chris Statlander a 7.5. He gave some of this I agree with. The FTW thing, lower on the card for me. The Rio Statlander match wise quality was really low. They gave a lot. Like there was some stuff out there that wasn't that good. But I will say this: minus match quality of some of those things, the storytelling and the story building and the story arcs and what everything's going on. And I'm stingy. I give the show an 8. I think this is a show if you missed, you go back and watch because I think it sets up a lot for the future.
I'm gonna break even between the two of you. I'm gonna go at 8.25.
There it is. One bite, everyone knows the rules.
Yeah, because I reckon this definitely set up a strong showing going forward. And you're right, ABJ. You set up a lot of different stories. You continued a lot of different stories, and you gave a reason for people to watch and tune in the next week or the next episode. So I think an 8.25 is fair enough because yes, some of the match quality sucked, but you've got that banger of a main event. you had a dominant opening match, and like you got the stories there. You got stories,
and the week before your big debut of a possible big signee, you just also showed the world your brand new signee in Will Ospreay, and you just had Okada walk through the door and turned him heel.
Exactly.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
You've just got Okada coming through the door and knocking it out of the park, essentially. And
so
you've
is Okada pretty much with the Don Callis family?
No,
he is with the elite. He's with the Bucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now you've got the Danielson Ospreay hinting at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. And I look forward to where we are in the next few weeks.
Oh, and Mariah May got her own T-shirt that looks exactly like Tony Storm's. She's going to be in action next week, and Tony Storm announced
she's in action on Collision.
And Tony Storm announced this brand new idea, which I think is super smart. The Tonys. Like, now I have something to look for. Yeah, it's super original. No one has ever came up with that. And like, now you win a Tony Award. I need a Tony Award. Like, now, listen, I need subscribers. I need watch hours. I need everything in my power to win a Tony Award.
Oh, there you go. Alex gives it a 9.
But all right, let's wrap this up because I got to piss.
Thank you, everyone, for being in the chat. I really appreciate you being here. DM, thank you for showing up, even if you did come late. I appreciate you coming in.
Showed us your dick and balls.
ABJ, thank you for jumping in on short notice. I know that it was very short notice for you. I appreciate you having my back and jumping in.
And we hope that Steven gets better soon, and that
I'm sure he will.
We will resurrect Dark Magic to try to resurrect Stephen Chambers from the grave.
Yes,
you are not wrong. He will be back next week, and we will have a new show. We'll have a good show. Maybe ABJ will join us again. Who knows? Depends on how things are. He might be the dead one next week. So, yeah. All in all, I've been Raz. That's been ABJ. That's been the Otter. Thank you so much for your companionship tonight. Enjoy your night, and we will see you again next week.
Hail Satan.